So you know those horses that you gotta put your cinch on and they like start grinding their teeth and they get really tense and maybe they puff out their belly and you can't quite cinch them up, or they try to turn and bite and they're just really like antsy and fidgety and super tense about it. That's what we're talking about today. I'm gonna give you some real things that you can do to help your horse to be less cinchy, and you should see results probably after like, I don't know, 5 to 10 rides, depending on how bad it really is. And none of them have anything to do with punching your horse in the belly so they cough and you can cinch them up quickly. It's a terrible idea. It is a real thing that people do. I do not recommend it. Today we're going to give you some things that are much more effective and don't involve hurting your horse. Hi, I'm Ruby. I'm a whole horsemanship trainer, and I'm on a mission to help you and your horse to develop a deeper connection and a better bond so you can enjoy more magic moments and also to find more meaning in the slog of the day-to-day. If you are on my email list, make sure to check your email, check your inbox, because there is a printable resource to go along with this video there for you. And if you're not, it's never too late to add. Just check the description box below and we can get you up to date on all of the printables for this video as well as all of the former ones. Before we begin any method, it's really important to check your horse thoroughly for pain. Make sure there's no back pain, no ulcers, no reason that your horse would be protecting themselves through this cinchy behavior, or that they would be physically responding to a pain stimulus with the cinching. So make sure you have a vet check your horse out first and foremost. Okay, today we're going to be talking all about the horse that is cinchy or girthy, depending on which sport you do. And these are the horses that, you know, you go to put on your cinch or your girth or you go to saddle and they suddenly turn from totally relaxed and sedate to mouthing, biting, fidgeting the tie rail, some of them even pull back, blowing out their stomach, grinding their teeth, and you can just feel the tension rising in their body. This is not a good way to start a ride. So if that describes your horse, there are a few things that we can do. The first option is sort of a positive reinforcement based option, and that is to add cookies. Now the key here is you have to be very specific with your timing, and this is a two-person job. So you're gonna have one person stand in front of your horse. If they're at the tie rail or cross ties, they're gonna stand in front of them and they're gonna hold the cookies in their hand, and all you're gonna do is just take the cinch under their belly, and as the cinch touches their belly, if your horse stays relaxed, they get a cookie, and then you're gonna take it right back off again. And you're going to do it again. You're going to pick up the cinch and the other person's going to give your horse a cookie right at the moment it touches their belly if they stay relaxed. If the horse starts grinding and getting intense, they're not going to get the cookie, and you're just going to try again. And this might take a whole lot of attempts. You're just going to keep lifting that cinch, gently touching it to their belly. If they stay relaxed, they get a cookie. And the idea is that the horse starts to have a positive association with the cinch touching their belly. Then you're going to actually start to do up the cinch of the girth. So you're going to get out your latigo or your billet and you're going to start to do the buckle. And as you do, as the horse stays relaxed, they get a cookie or a hay pellet, whatever you want to use. And then you're going to tighten it up. And as you do, if the horse stays relaxed, they get a hay pellet or a cookie. And you're always going to do this very slowly. You're going to start really loose and work your way tighter and tighter very slowly. And you're going to repeat this over like, I don't know, 5 to 10 rides, and you should start to see a difference in your horse where they're going to stay a lot more relaxed. And then as your horse is able to stay a lot more relaxed, then you're going to start doing fewer cookies. So instead of every time the cinch touches their belly, you might wait until you go to do the first hole and then cookie while you're doing the first hole. And then again, each time you tighten, and then eventually maybe you just give them a cookie after you do the last hole and they stay relaxed for that whole process. And then eventually maybe there are no cookies at all needed because your horse is just much more relaxed with this process, and you do this very slowly. So the second option is very similar, but it's a more of a negative reinforcement approach, and that does not mean punishment. What that means is pressure and release. So all you're going to do, you can even do this with your lead rope actually, if you want to at first, and then you can work up to using a cinch or a girth. But all you're going to do is put the pressure on the belly, and when you're going to hold just gently until the horse relaxes. And as soon as they show any sign of relaxing, that pressure is going to come off. And you're going to repeat over and over. And you might have to hold for a while the first couple times. And again, you're going to do this every time you put your saddle on for the next like 5 to 10 rides, and you should start to see a difference where then you're not going to have to wait as long, and you're going to be able to just continue on with your cinching process. But the idea is to really get your horse to relax into that pressure on their belly. And again, making sure you always start with your cinch loose enough that, you know, you can put your hand in there, not so loose that if your horse were to spook that your saddle wouldn't flip, but loose enough that they're not going to also have a kind kind of a need to react so strongly, and then cinch up very slowly over like 3 to 5 cinches before you get on. The other thing that you can really do to help your horse is to find a way to help them relax a little bit extra before you put your saddle on. Sometimes this means lunging them so that their back is nice and loose and warmed up, especially if it's an older horse. I find this is really, really helpful. Just a light lunge, couple trot laps around, just so their back muscles relax, and then it's just a little bit more comfortable for them when you put the saddle on. Another option would be to do the TMJ release. I need to make a video about that, mental note, but all you do is just basically gently press your thumb on the roof of their mouth, and through that little hole in their bars where there's no teeth there, you just put your finger right in the side of their lip. You just wait for them to lick and chew a couple of times, and then that should relax them enough that then you're just setting the tone for a more relaxed moment, and then you can do your cinching. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, always feel free to leave a comment. I am happy to answer your questions there. And until next time, make sure to hug your horse for me.